Good morning. Nice of you guys to drop by.
What a piece of junk. What are you talking about?
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
Look, don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. Trust me.
I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault. Don't get technical with me.
This bickering is pointless.
Don't everybody thank me at once.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
How could you even say that?
I got a bad feeling about this.
Well, come on. Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Would you get going, you pirate?
Get in there, you big furry-o! I don't care what you smell!
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
If what you've told me is true, you will have gained my trust. I like the sound of that.
Get a shuttle ready.
I don't know. Fly casual.
Shuttle Tydirium, what is your cargo and destination?
Transmission commencing.
Hey everybody, thanks again for tuning in to another exciting episode of the Shuttle Tydirium podcast. We are the mothership of Casual X-Wing, where we make the mistakes so you don't have to. I'm your host and captain, Jim Chadwick, also known as Hey Chadwick on the forums. And I have sitting next to me here, Phil Mead, my co-pilot. Phil, how you doing?
I'm doing great. For our in-flight entertainment today, there were a couple glitches with the Holo system, but I can announce that we will be screening the Wookiee rom-com When Harry Met Furry, but the subtitles will be disabled. So, and unfortunately that is the only Holo we have for the duration of the flight, so that'll be playing on loop. Enjoy.
Great. Don't take your... And watch out for the Ewok cabin crew. We've had issues with them reenacting the movie.
Yes.
After seeing it
They
so
really
many
enjoy
times.
it. They might have had something to do with the malfunctions.
We might have to talk to our human resources, which is J-Bot, our protocol droid. J-Bot, how you doing?
I'm not doing too bad, I guess. It's always fun to fly with this movie over and over and over again. It's like that 24 hours of the Emperor's story that we have to watch every year on Sithmas. So I guess at least I can stay out of the main cabin and don't have to watch it the whole time. So that's a good thing. But rest assured, I am working on finding some new material. We just have to find a good Holo store that might sell some things for us.
No slasher flicks, please.
But oh, okay.
Particularly homemade.
That's not homemade. That's found video.
Found video. All right. Well, I do have to say that my favorite line of the movie so far is, "You had me at." I love it. Touches the heart right there. All right. I do also hear our new chief engineer, Biff. Spaceman Biff. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good. I apologize to everybody for the Holo system. I just could not get to working on it. For a good chunk of the flight, though, conveniently for me, I will be down in the engine room working on it to try and get it all up and running. So lucky me.
Right. And Biff, last time we recorded, he said afterwards he apologized for being a little quiet because he was so used to listening to the podcast that being on the podcast was almost like listening to it. He forgot it was real life and he had to jump in and actually say things on occasion, which is hysterical.
Yeah.
So
it's a whole different ballgame.
Make sure to get assertive to get a word in edgewise.
That's right. He's in the big leagues now. He's not just listening at home, yelling at his radio or yelling at his his computer. Now he's actually got to yell at us.
Although that can be good practice. Try that at home, everyone.
Yeah. For a while, I kind of felt like I was one of the Muppets up in the balcony, just kind of screaming at the podcast from time to time, or throwing in a little whip comment here or there. But now it's real. So.
All right. So I have a captain's question before I forget, and it's been inspired by some recent things, but what is your favorite Star Wars battle scene of all time? So, or of the moment at least. So I'm going to run with Phil, co-pilot Phil.
All right. So I really enjoyed the battle scene on above Scarif in Rogue One. I thought that was really an interesting little set piece battle. It had some cool moments. I think they did a really nice job with it, and I really appreciated it.
Get me a hammerhead.
Full of a hammerhead, Cavett. Yeah. Like overall, the use of the Y-wings and to do all sorts of bombing runs.
I know Y-wings uses a bombing run. It didn't just die. It's great.
Yeah.
Just Red 5 going down.
Yeah, I thought as a whole it was such a dynamic fight scene, battle scene, because it showed how desperate the rebellion was and how many people were willing to just sacrifice their lives at this opportunity to get, they weren't even sure they were going to get these plans, but they were prepared to kind of throw their lives at this to to get. I mean, that whole hammerhead goes down. I think that's something that gets lost on people, is that those people all basically know that they're sacrificing themselves and their ship.
Well, yeah.
Did it not happen that way?
Technically, according to the special effects guys, because people were talking about this after the movie came out, of course, and the special effects, they were like, there were plans to have the escape pods coming off the ship as the Star Destroyer was going down and everything, and to show people getting away. But I think the director and the people in charge of the film decided that they didn't want that because it would be distracting. But the special effects guys in the shot when the Star Destroyers are going down with the Hammerhead Corvette wedged in there, the escape pods are gone in the Corvette, so they kind of like snuck in there, like they got away.
Okay. So, well,
so at least the people might have gotten away.
I'm going to go ahead and write in that special effects guys don't trump the people who wrote the movie and say that the canon is that they went down, because
but
the director
on
said
screen
that they
the
went down
escape
with
pods
the ship.
are gone.
Yeah, the director said they went down with the ship. So the fact
he didn't want the shot of the escape pods leaving because they thought it would be distracting.
Yeah, but for me it's that if they do that, if that's the way canon is, that kicks it out for me as a neat fight. It's a cool fight, but it suddenly loses.
It would have been better if the hammer. Yeah, I agree. I think that it would be edgier if the Corvette had really sacrificed itself. That they had damaged the Corvette so much that they couldn't launch the escape pods, etc., etc. They like all died.
Right. Even if they do with jets, you're just going to get captured by the Imperium, which is like.
Yeah, that's the thing. Don't worry, they probably died anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's different. To me, it's a different feel, and I know it sounds crazy, but it is. It kind of strips away the heroic version of it. Oh yeah, they did it, but they knew they were going to get away. So it's like it's not the same to me as.
Yeah, no, I get you. I agree.
As what you see in some of the other ones.
I'm just saying, technically.
That's right. Yeah. Technically, the special effects guys forgot to actually put those into the scene, so they had to come up with an excuse, and that's what I'm going with. They look back on the thing as no, they actually got away. That's why we didn't put the escape pods in, and after somebody pointed out that they weren't there. It's all retconning. It's already happening.
Yeah. All right.
What impressed me with that scene mostly was how seat of the pants the whole battle was from the rebellion side, and yet it seemed fairly organized, fairly well executed, and they certainly had to adapt on the fly, and all of that kind of came out in the movie, which to me just added a whole level of additional reality to the situation.
Yeah. It's like how we run the podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty much exactly. I mean, we could talk at length about the thing, because the whole thing is very well shot. It's very, very neat to see the Imperials that are military structure, blah blah blah, and then something goes wrong, and they're like, "What do we do? Like, tell them to stop coming close to us." And that to me is a funny way that the rebels are much more reactive and able to change on the fly versus the Imperial staunch and kind of stuck in the way.
But not really. I think that's one of the first large scale battles that they have, because the implication is that the rebellion was mostly scattered before this. This is one of the first main battles that they have. I mean, obviously we see like in Rebels, they're fighting the Rebels in the show Rebels. Imperials are fighting Rebels, regularly. But I think in the movie, they were going for the idea that the rebellion hadn't really kicked off yet.
I'd say it's probably the Imperium's first big fight against the Rebels, but I'm sure they've put their jackbooted heels on somebody else's neck at some point in time.
Yeah, but that's like different than like having a stand-up fight with somebody.
Well, like what's his name from Rebels? His whole home planet was, killed off and invaded.
Oh, yeah,
so I mean, they had a military. There was a space battle. They invaded. They massacred the population. It's not their first time. They haven't done large scale maneuvers, but
maybe it's the first time someone's attacking them.
Right. Yeah. Remember, this is the first time they might be playing defense to try and protect something.
Yeah. Exactly. May not be used to it.
All right. So at this point, J-Bot, I'll give you the chance to steal Biff's.
To steal Biff. I always do that. I always end up doing this if I choose to. So I'm going to do that again. I would say my favorite kind of overall fight, if you strip out the silly inside the cockpit stuff between Obi-Wan and Anakin, is I love the giant space battle that happens. I believe it's the beginning of the third one of Episode 3, where it's the Venator class destroyers are my favorite design for the big Imperial slash I guess what would become the Imperial Star Destroyers. Those are my favorite design, but you still have this look, because they show inside where it still feels almost like an old school pirate cannon battle, where they have the bays of them firing out of it. And I've always been a huge fan of the wooden ships, Iron Men age of sailing and naval combat. So that it was a throwback to that for me. So that was always my favorite. I know it's from the prequels, so people have to deal with it, but it's always been my kind of favorite. Strip out the silly two of them talking as they're flying through space, and just how crowded it is with all of the ships going back and forth and the fighters in between each other. I just love that kind of cluster of stuff. But as far as like favorite battles, it's another prequel one, but it's actually Jango and Obi-Wan, when the two of them fight on that little landing pad or launch pad.
Yeah.
I love that fight because it shows that Jedi aren't all powerful, that somebody who knows what he's doing can fight against a Jedi. And it's what bugs me so much about how he gets killed by Mace, is that he's shown that he is very much capable of fighting one-on-one against a Jedi. And to me, it's like Mace didn't do anything. He went zinc, zinc, and it was dead. I'm like, that was just, let's give Samuel L. Jackson something to look cool for a second. And that's what always bugged me. It's like, you got this awesome character. You've shown he's good. You've shown he's one of the best kind of mercenaries in the galaxy. And just off him that fast always bugged me. But yeah, that fight between Jango and Obi-Wan, I've always loved.
I always took it.
Oh, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead, Jim.
You go, Biff.
So one thing on your point, Jonathan, about, or J-Bot, sorry, on the on that fight scene. Yeah, who's Jonathan? I kind of felt in that scene, because I'm completely with you. It's like Jango just totally got the shaft on that scene, but they had Jango get trampled by one of the creatures, and I felt that maybe they had kind of inserted that into the fight to kind of disorient Jango a little bit and put him off his game, and then to all of a sudden then be confronted with Mace, because that whole battle scene just never felt right for that precise reason that you're bringing up. And I felt that might have been a way to try to make it a little bit better by just having Jango run over, if you will.
And I agree. I guess what bothered me about that whole scene is that a character of that kind of caliber, they've shown that he's not an offensive guy, that he's not going out to purposefully kill people. For me, look, you see suddenly all these Jedi and stuff's going on, he's retreating. Like that character would have retreated and not like, oh look, we can still win this and charge to the front. I never saw him as a frontline general sort of character. He would have been more of a like, oh, let me use a flamethrower to get you off of this balcony, and then I'm leaving. I'm getting the heck out of here because there's no reason for me to stay in this protracted war.
Yeah, why would he go and fight all these Jedi? I mean,
right? Yeah, he would not. I guess for me, I would not see him doing that. But canon, I guess he is that character.
Well, okay, I guess for me, I saw it as like a giant fight going on with Jedis everywhere and stuff, and he's taking some out. He's trying to take care of everything that's going on. He's got a lot of stuff to take in, and Mace Windu gets in close because part of the thing about the Mandalorians is they're good at kind of like that mid-long range. They've got all these ranged attacks and stuff because you get in close with a Jedi is just.
Well, yeah, you're not gonna. It's hard to beat a Jedi up close, the lightsaber,
right.
And all that crap.
Right. Yeah.
And so he's dealing with all this stuff going on, and he's killing some, and this and that, and suddenly. Like, boom, he's out of actions for the round, and Mace Windu gets in close, and he's like,
actions.
boom,
he's out of action points.
Like a role-playing game, and he had lower initiative, and, Jango had already used all his reactionary actions to take out other Jedi, and Mace just walks up and goes, Mace was like, oh, crap, I'm defenseless. He's down.
Yeah, he blanked out on his dice, is what you're saying.
He had no tokens left over, and he just kind of blanked out. And he
did do better than Boba Fett. Ultimately,
We'll see.
Boba Fett gets taken out by like clumsiness.
Yeah, Boba was one of those like lucky shot sort of. The hawk killing somebody with its primary weapon sort of shots is what that always feels like.
Yeah.
Range 3, 1 die. I got this. Crit, direct hit. How is that possible?
Yeah. All right. So that's good. And Biff, has he managed to steal one of yours? What's your?
Not this week, sir. No. Gonna have to try again next week, I guess.
Oh,
so my. Go ahead. You work on it. Huh? My scene. My favorite scene is it's episode 1. It's Maul versus Obi-Wan at the end of the movie, or very close to the end of the movie. I've always really, really liked the lightsaber play in that scene, and the music's pretty good too.
Sorry, I'm adding effect. Don't ignore me.
I like the fact that. You have Qui-Gon is killed, and you can debate whether or not it was a good way, but you've got a Jedi that dies, and then you have Obi-Wan who's got some talent, but he is a little bit overmatched, and kind of in the end, the confidence, if you will, of the Sith is a little bit of their own doing, and Obi-Wan, gets to cut him in half.
Yeah, despite Darth Maul having the high ground.
Yes. Yes.
It's
very
true.
strange.
That's right. How I don't understand how it's even possible, but I guess it's a good thing that Darth Maul didn't die because he's such a neat character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that was all for anyone who doesn't know, it's from the Clone Wars. And when I first heard about it, I was a little iffy, but then I watched the Clone Wars and I thought it was well done.
Yeah, they do the character justice, more justice than he gets in episode 1, frankly.
Well, to me it's always fascinating. It's so he can be cut in half, but he can somehow survive. But Obi-Wan gets stabbed one time, and down he goes like sack of potatoes.
He disappeared. He kind of joined the Force before he even died. So
yeah, maybe it was an Obi-Wan situation. He's like, all right, I'm tired of this. Let me just I'll take the shot and be done with it.
Yeah, he just kind of gave himself up. He just kind of was like, oh, I'm ready to join the Force. My knees are creaking, my elbows.
As an aside, has anybody ever seen that YouTube video of them showing the fight, but like showing the actual angle of their lightsabers where they would never actually contact each other?
Yeah, it's great. They're like not even swinging at each other. It's
right. Yeah. Oh, see if we could dig that. It's hilarious.
I'm not sure if I want to see that.
Yeah, it totally ruins that fight for you. But so Biff, don't go watch that.
I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. Don't ruin my childhood. All right. So for me, I'm gonna say I can't believe no one said this, but Hoth. I mean, I was a kid when it came out, and just going going to the theater and seeing that giant fight with the walkers and the guys and the little turrets, you know, the rover's too strong, and the little ATSTs, and the little snow troopers, you know, and General Veers, you know, firing on the generator. Oh, that was just so cool. And they're trying to fix the Falcon, and the snow troopers are setting up their big, you know, laser machine gun. It's just, that was awesome. I mean, it was cool. The Imperial kicks butt. The heroes are heroes, but they have to retreat. It was just too cool. Like the scenes from the snow speeders zipping through, like over the ground as the ground forces are retreating. It was, I don't know. It was just amazing.
So using that as an example, do you think we'll see snow speeders in X-Wing, or are they only atmospheric craft? Because we've had 2 of them added already that were atmospheric, quote unquote, craft. Are those even able to go into space?
Wait, what's the second one? The TIE Strikers one, but
there was a Striker, and the other one that came out with it says that it's primarily an atmospheric craft. I can't remember which one.
U-Wing?
Yeah, the U-Wing. It's an atmospheric. It's what it said in this description.
I believe it's a, you know, it's a troop transport. So it's not that it can't go in space, but it's designed to go from one place to another, like one planet to another, to drop off ground troops.
It's not
I wouldn't really call it
fighter.
atmosphere only.
Yeah, it's aerospace.
No, I didn't say it wasn't. What I was saying is that the way they describe them.
Gotcha.
That's why I was wondering if you would ever see that sort of stuff.
So I'm waiting for it. I think it's just a matter of time before that snowspeeder gets to be included in the game.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I don't know, because those snow speeders, everything that I've read on them, and I guess some of this is EU at this point, or I don't know if it's exactly canon, but they just work on a different technology than the X-wings or any other normal starfighter. Their engines, it's mostly repulsors, which only work if you have something, if you're like on a planet, I think, or near something.
Yeah, like gravity. So
yeah.
I'm not saying they can't. I was just curious if that was another one that we're going to end up seeing at some point.
I kind of doubt it. Maybe cloud cars. I think they're also a repulsor based thing. Like, let's think about it for a second. Why haven't we seen cloud cars already?
Yeah,
there's not even as much clamor for it as there are for the whatever that that tie that everybody wants.
The tac shuttle.
No, the that tie something or other that people have been wanting forever.
The gunboat.
Gunboat, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's not a tie. Yeah, the assault gunboat.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Gunboat.
Yeah, Imperial something. They're all ties eventually.
No, they're not.
It's a tie ISD. That's how it works.
Well, I would say wait till they get a Star Destroyer and put panels on it, and like, oh wait, that's the Raider. Never mind. So actually, I was thinking about even just all this kind of ground combat. I was thinking with the U-wing. Oh, by the way, I actually contacted FFG about my lost stuff that I threw away like an idiot, and they completely responded back. And I just got yesterday. They sent me all the replacement parts that I needed: my dial, my little cardboard chits, and everything. So it was super, super nice of them. FFG's
awesome.
got the best customer support.
That's good. That's really
good. FFG. So that was very cool. But thinking about U-wings and all, it'd be so cool to have a game where you've actually got like U-wings or lambdas or the Sentinels, like dropping troops off while you're flying around, like you're trying to take out the U-wings or the shuttles as they're trying to land to drop off the troops. And I was looking, it's like 6mm would be the appropriate size of infantry for Star Wars. And you'd probably have some timing issues with the idea of like X-wings fast. These guys are going zoom, 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 zip around, and you're like, oh, you move 1 inch.
Yeah.
Your infantry moves 1 inch. But it'd be so cool to do a game like that. And I told you guys I started digging up, and because I know Joe Boss is doing stuff. There's this old model set for Battle of Hoth, which comes with all these little turrets and these little 10mm guys and ATs and ATSTs, and Micro Machine has a bunch of vehicles that are kind of some of them are the appropriate size. And I started looking up, thinking someone's got to have done this. And I started looking at like maybe Flames of War converted to X-Wing, and there was maybe a couple little discussions, but not a lot. And I did come across xwingassault.com, and it's ground assault, the Battle of Hoth. So these guys have actually gotten a bunch of the Battle of Hoth model set, and they've made rules that are kind of, they're still play testing and getting things done right, but it looks pretty professional. I really haven't had a chance to delve into it, but they also have templates if you just want to print out like a little paper copy. But they've got all the vehicles to play, in 2 missions so far to try it. I really haven't tried it out, but it looks kind of neat. So if anyone out there is interested, it's xwingassault.com. So that's kind of neat. And if you do try it out, let us know how it goes, because we have so many things to try out. We just don't have the time.
It's true.
So please, somebody else
Busy.
try it back. Yeah.
Busy schedule of playtesting and mission writing.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah. And then, Biff, you had something that you had found.
Yeah. So, in just kind of scattering the web and so forth, and through some of the contacts that I know, I stumbled across an outfit in the UK. I think it's a game store. It's called Incom Gaming. They ran a couple of months ago. They ran this big Hoth-based scenario, which was really cool in my opinion, because not only was it the ground battle where you had the typical ground forces, AT-AT, AT-STs, and troops attacking a rebel base, but you had a space battle that would also take place. And the whole premise behind this was kind of true to the movie, where all the gear and personnel inside the base have to get loaded up into transports, and then the transports have to kind of fight their way out of the ground battle a little bit to get to a hyperspace jump point, where they would then pop up into orbit and have to deal with Imperial raiders to go to yet another hyperspace point, to where then they're now out of the game and all the gear and everything has been, saved by the rebellion. And the rebel base has got command leaders, and the other aspect that was really cool was all of the gear that the rebel are using to defend the base is the very stuff you've got to pack up. So as you're trying to pack things up, you're losing some of your defensive capabilities.
Oh, that's
so just a
cool.
lot of strategic and tactical decisions that have to be made. It's really, really cool.
Cool.
I think the name of it is Shadows of the Empire. I'm not absolutely certain of that. But Google Incom Gaming, Shadows of the Empire, and you'll probably stumble across it. But it's really, really cool. It's definitely on my to-do list. The guys from Combat Zone Scenery, who have been so gracious in donating prizes for our narrative, they generated some models for this Incom scenario. So yet more things I have to purchase in order to be able to play the scenario.
Yeah, it does seem really cool. If anyone else out there has actually done that or knows more about it, let us know. That's something we would love to touch on. There's just so many things to do that it's hard to actually get around to trying them all. But the first shuttle has cleared.
Yay!
Sorry. It's just such a cool battle scene. I love it. All right. Cool. So I think at this point we're going to go over and review a phone app for List Builder. So Biff, you wanted to kind of talk about it.
Yeah, thanks. So the past couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of list generation to do some playtesting for the narrative event that's coming up for Gen Con. And I've been utilizing the online web-based X-Wing Squadron Builder. I really like that because I'm kind of a proxy player. I drag enough stuff to the hobby store or to the game club that I'd prefer not to have to drag the cards and set up the cards and so forth. So the X-Wing Squadron Builder does a really good job. When you print out the lists, you've got the hulls and the shields that you can check off. So I'm lazy in that respect. But the shortcoming of that interface, in my opinion, is I can't browse. And if I want to understand what a particular card is, I have to like load up a ship and then go to the slot where you can choose the upgrade in order to be able to see the list of like all the missiles or all the elite pilot talents. So I really wanted to have some kind of just a browser to just have quick access. And even when I'm talking to buddies and so forth about different lists or different capabilities, I don't remember everything. So just having a handy reference would be really cool. So I did a quick search online and stumbled across the Aurora Squad Builder. And since it was free, I just went ahead and loaded it. It does support both Android and iPhone. So I think that pretty much covers all of the platforms that would be out there. And I've just been really, really impressed with it, and really, really like it. It's got all of the normal stuff that one would expect from a squad builder. So you can track your own collection, for example, and it even allows you to go down to individual components. So if you've been trading or eBaying to get specific things, it's not just solely based on expansions or what comes in a box. Of course, you can build your squadrons, and it does also include what in the app are called previews. So, for example, the Sea Rock, several things have been spoiled, and you can see the items that have been spoiled within the app. That's pretty cool. I always like that.
The only thing is you can't print them out. You still have to go back to the other one.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Interestingly enough, Friday morning, I sent off kind of my list of wishes or dislikes to the developer through a feedback in the app. Timothy Rissi, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, and I got a response like in probably about like an hour and a half, which was just awesome. And it was good that he responded back, because one of the things that I really wanted, an ability to kind of copy ships, it's embedded within the app, and I just didn't find it. So a little bit of a dumb moment. Right.
And
there.
Didn't you like it for custom stuff?
Yeah, one of the really, really big things that's awesome in this is your ability to import the custom card league cards, as well as to create your own. You could even go so far as to creating your own faction. You don't have to stick with the Imperial Rebel scum. You can go completely off on your own and develop things. You can even create upgrades. You can't create your own upgrade type, but if you want to develop your own illicit, your own elite pilot talent, it's all there. So I really, really liked it. Not being much of a custom card generator, I can't really tell you how well it is. I don't know, Phil, if you've got any thoughts on that or whatnot.
I haven't made custom cards within the app. I have used the app to make squad lists for the custom card league. This guy Tim Rizzi is one of the main contributors to the custom card league. So we're actually really pleased to have him.
Yeah, that's convenient.
Because it's incredibly convenient to have a squad builder app developer participating actively in the custom card league, because when we have this, I didn't. Otherwise, we'd be writing our lists by hand, and that'd be it. It's especially difficult for a custom card league, because then you'd have to go and print out all those cards, because obviously you don't naturally have custom cards already. So we're making them all up on the spot, essentially. So that was a great boon to us. He's a nice guy, and I've worked with him a bunch in the custom card league. So
where's he out of? Do you know where he lives?
He's in Alaska. Otherwise, we might even we might have him on as a guest on the podcast at some point. But we're gonna have to record at a different time because a little bit of inside baseball here. We record at 10 a.m. on Sundays, which is kind of an awkward time in general for some people. But
he can get up at, what is that, 7? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
going to
be like 4 a.m. for him.
5? 5 a.m.? There's nothing wrong with that. I do that every day.
No, I think it's a 4-hour time difference where he is, so it'd be 6 a.m. It's kind of rough. So we'll probably have him on at some point, but we're gonna have to set it up. It's not gonna be easy.
Right. Cool.
But yeah, I use the app all the time. I love it. It's a nice little phone app for squad building.
I haven't really tried it. I know to look things up, I always use X-Wing Companion, which is only on Android. And apparently it's not in the Google Store, but you can actually still get it. Because I think there was some sort of issues where Disney was like, take it off for a while. And then he's like, you know what? Forget it. I'm not going to bother. And yeah, I use that a lot. It doesn't list build lists, but it lets you look at cards. You can view by blister, by type, by ship, and dig through and kind of look at all sorts of stuff. I love it. So X-Wing Companion's a good one to just kind of view stuff.
Now, does the X-Wing Companion have the condition card text in it?
I haven't actually looked. That's a good.
I don't know, what set does that come in? It was what's that new shuttle called?
The Batwing.
Oh, the Upsilon or
Upsilon, that was it. Upsilon. But I'll look right now. It might not have it updated if the ship isn't out, but this one's been out for a while.
Oh, it does. It does have the condition cards.
Cool. Okay.
Yep. And it tells you like who can be assigned by. So what I love about it is like you can go look at a ship and it like, I want to click on, the A-Wing, and it'll show you the dial. It'll show you any titles. It shows you what blisters it's found in at the bottom. And then if you click on one of the pilots, it shows a picture of the card, and then the text of the card, and then it shows you the upgrade slots. You can click on those, like, an elite, EPT. If I click on that, boom, it goes to all the EPTs that you can then click on to see which ones would be good with that particular one. It's just like it lets you kind of drill down while you're in it without having to like back out and look at things, and it's just awesome. I just love it. It's not quite as updated as fresh as some of the other ones, but I'm okay with that. Yeah, so that's the one I use. And then I just kind of, on my phone, I've got X-Wing Squadron Builder app. I think it's just the one I happen to grab. And then when I'm online, I use yet another X-Wing Builder.
I usually use Void State Squad Builder.
Yeah, I've used that one too. I've used them all at one point or another. I think with various PC wipes for phone changes or stuff, I've just grabbed different ones. X-Wing Companion's the one I really love. All the other ones I've kind of used different ones. But yeah, J-Bot doesn't use anything because he just kind of takes whatever I give him.
I actually use the problem is I use the companion, but I don't have 70% of the cards, so I have to always borrow them, or you actually keep the companion running to show me like, oh yeah, I've got this card, to remember to use it, which is really the downfall for me when I start building these crazy lists is I forget half the cards I've got. Like, oh man, I forgot I had this ability, or I had this modification, or that sort of thing on the ship. So,
well, some of the list builders will let you put in your collection, and it will show all the options, but the ones you don't have will kind of be marked differently.
Right.
Grayed out or something.
Yeah. And what's the one you used, Biff, again, online?
It's called X-Wing Squadron Builder. It's out of the UK.
Yeah, I have used that one.
Right.
I've been printing out things off yet another, but I think I remember the other X-Wing Builder being better to print things out. Therefore, you don't have to pull out the cards. It's got everything all written up.
Yeah. Yeah, and that the interface for print on X-Wing Squadron Builder I really like, because it gives you a lot of options. You can go with more of a compressed, I'm just going to give you the titles of the cards, or you can go to a fold where it'll even give you all the graph or the text on the cards. And then you could do the stat line can be compressed or expanded out if you're actually going to use it to track damage and so forth. So I find it very flexible. And the other thing that I like about playing proxy is all of my cards are FAQ'd. I don't have to read a text and go, yeah, that's right, it's been changed. I want to, for me, I have a hard enough time flying my ships around to make sure I don't run into things that I don't want to, all my mental computations and cycles have to go into playing, not remembering, that card needs this or that. So
I
gotta be lazy.
I like, this is crazy, I like having the cards out on the table for a classic 106 game. But for any of these epic ones or the campaign style stuff or the Punisher mission that we did this past week, I like having those little sheets that Jim will print out because it cuts the clutter down an amazing amount. And I wish we had taken a picture of this, Jim, but I was running 4 interceptors and the Gazanti, and I just with those 4 and no cars, it was just little strips of paper with each information. It took up the whole length of the table because I needed space for all the tokens that went with them. And then Jason ran 4 Punishers, and his took up an entire table because he had it in separate carts. But he had, because they were so loaded down with munitions and everything else, he took almost an entire, little table to himself. And that's where I see these as a great benefit. The little printouts as a great benefit is for large battles, large epic size games. If you have 2-on-2, like you almost need these sorts of things just for space reasons.
Yeah.
I used yet another, and it could print it off. And so we used like the Gazanti, and it had all the upgrades and a little description of what each one did, and it had like all the details. And so I just put shield tokens, and you put damage cards right on the piece of paper. And the TIE interceptors, since I didn't really have much, it was just kind of like a strip of paper. I brought some scissors and just kind of cut out. It didn't take up that much room, and put each one out. You put the damage cards or whatever it is right on the piece of paper, and for the large games, it was great. And so we can kind of go into a little bit more kind of about the Punisher mission. I know we're going to do a full review later, but I printed out like a whole bunch of options for scum because they can kind of get reinforcements and be anything, and just kind of print them out and put them out, put the shield tokens on them on the actual pieces of paper. And it's so much easier for these things if you're the one with all the stuff and you've got to lug your crap around, and it's just so much easier than pulling out all these little tokens and cards and everything. I've gotten really lazy with that because usually I'm the one bringing everything, so it's nice.
He's got suitcases and all sorts of things like that he's dragging into the store now. And I used to make fun, I shouldn't say make fun of, but pick at the people who came in for wargaming. And on Saturdays, they at least every other Saturday at the store, they'd have a guy who would show up with a Jeep, so like a Cherokee or something, with a whole back crammed full of Tupperware cases of terrain.
Oh my God, this guy was so cool.
I don't know how he got everything in there. If he just left it there, and that was like his gaming vehicle, he just parked it at his house and then drove it everywhere. But he would set up, and it was amazing. I mean, it was incredible the stuff he would set up. But Jim's starting to get close to that now. I feel like I see him dragging stuff in there now with the mat box, and he's got it's a suitcase, a large rolling suitcase filled with some stuff, and another carry container. I mean, he's. I don't want to get onto my rant since I've already ranted about storage solutions, but it is getting worse. It is getting worse.
I've got a Plano 1357 for all my small base ships and my cards. Just filled with just the small base, and I'm getting close to being full. I've got 3 Plano 3700 deep for the Epic, one for the Raider and Gazanti, and one for the CR90 and the GR75. And then I've got a whole nother one just for the large base ships. I've been using the tuck boxes, but at this point I've actually run out of room. So the last couple ships don't have tuck boxes because I can't fit them in. And so I've got all my large base ships in this one giant tray, and I'm just about out of room. Part of the reason not to get the Batwing is because I have no place to put it.
Well, this is part of the bad side of casual gaming, is that if you're a tournament guy and you're planning for a tournament, you can just bring in your one list of ships in a little bitty nice carry container and not bring anything else. If if you're running casual, you're probably bringing almost everything you've got almost every week, just because you never know what's gonna come up in the store. So there is a dark side to the casual scene that is a storage and maneuverability component.
Cool. Well, I will say really quickly the TIE Punisher mission. So it's something we're testing out, and I also ordered a camera to make YouTube videos, so I can actually start doing video reports to do it, because I thought it'd be really cool. And we've been doing on a 3x6, just kind of two mats together, and just doing it in space. But our store used to be a big 40K store, and there was a ton of terrain just gathering dust. There's like a wall with like shelf after shelf after shelf of just terrain, and a lot of it's 40K. So we pulled out a 4x6 table that was desert, all painted with little sand and everything. And I kind of wanted to make the edges blocked off, because 6 inches on each edge should be not playable. So I pulled out these like craters, these big rock formations and plateaus, and I pulled out some 40K fortress pieces and actually built like the pirate base as a fortress, and all these big cliffs and rocks and bomb cratered out, and I made the table, and I made it like on the ground instead of space battle, and it looked awesome. I took a bunch of pictures, and I put it up on the FFG threads, and I put it on the Facebook, and I've got so many likes and so many people going like, wow, that looks amazing. So we're going to do more of the Punisher mission. It's going to be, just to let you know, 4 TIE Punishers loaded down with everything you can put onto it. A Gazanti and some TIE Interceptors, blowing up a pirate base. And it's so far pretty fun. We've had to tweak it quite a bit. It's taken us like 6 months, here and there testing it, but it's pretty awesome. We'll cover it more.
Really good terrain always adds something to like any game system. And it's kind of something that Star Wars lacks, because most of the time we're using cardboard, or if you're lucky, like acrylic flat tokens on a mat, which is usually just a normal star field. But if you're lucky, you're using like a mat with a nice picture of a planet or something on the background, but you don't really interact with it. So it's really window dressing at the end of the day. The pictures on the mat, that is. In a lot of game systems, the terrain is something that you interact with much more. It has a much greater impact on the game, both visually and in terms of gameplay.
In space, no one can hear you say, "Cool terrain, man."
Yeah, I mean, some people have printed out 3D asteroids. And these could be homemade with like volcanic rock, or some sort of paper mache thing, or you could buy them from a terrain store. I know Combat Zone Scenery has some good ones, and we're going to be using some of those in our narrative event as scenery, and then prizes. But yeah, it's just the thing is with X-Wing, the flight mechanics make it difficult to really use 3D terrain, because there are times when you need to fly on top of like the asteroid, and if you have an asteroid on a stick, then you're gonna have to like remove the stick. It's it's kind of an ordeal, and you have to have a base on the board for the asteroid that matches the profile of the asteroid. You know what I'm saying? In order for it, to have, to figure out if you landed on it or not, because
you gotta be precise, because it's a very precise game. You gotta have a little.
Absolutely.
Really?
Nothing ever gets moved or nudged or bumped.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I never.
I mean, I have a nice terrain set from when I played Warhammer 40K. It's like a desert board with big like Badlands type rocks sticking up, and a bunch of alien vegetation. And it would be awesome for playing X-Wing on, except for the fact that uneven surfaces are problematic. Especially for like measuring range and whatnot, because I'm not really sure how you do it. not to mention the trouble of like flying onto these types of things. They're just not made for X-wing.
Well, I'm going to be trying it because I want to do some of these YouTube videos, and I've got enough. I want to do like we've got so many of these rock formations that I want to do a Beggar's Canyon. So basically, have a whole bunch of these formations making like little mazes. I'm going to have like a giant, like large 200 versus 200. Like you're going through the canyons, and you blow somebody up, and suddenly somebody comes around the corner from somewhere else. They're on your tail. It's going to make things like the ARC 170 and the Special Forces TIE Fighter with like different arcs going to be so much cooler because you've got rear and front firing arcs. I want to just do this kind of giant free for all in I want to call it Beggar's Canyon and just do that. I want to make like green forest and put out a bunch of trees and stuff and make where you've got to fly through the trees. I saw Beasts of War did one where they had some sort of Endor mission where the rebels had to blow up the shield generator on this Imperial base, and it was really cool. And I want to be able to use a whole bunch of trees and buildings and stuff. And there's gonna be some problems like what do you do for going over buildings and such. And I haven't figured that out yet, but I don't care. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, well, the beauty of this is kind of twofold. One, because it's casual, non-tournament, you can be a little iffy on the going up a hill and that extra, couple of eighths of an inch that the range might do to stuff. But the second thing is people always, like, if they don't know anything about what's going on and they see this table filled with terrain, it just draws people in. It's this kind of black hole of, oh my God, what is this? This looks so cool.
It's way more visually impressive.
Right, and it drags people into it, and they want to see it. They want to know what it is. It's what always happens whenever we do the Death
Trench
Star.
run.
Yeah, the trench
Yeah,
run.
the trench
is
run.
You just get people like, this looks so cool, and that's how you pick up people. I mean, if you want to expand your local scene, sometimes the easiest way to do that is to set up one of these massive, like really highly terrained maps, and just deal with the little, idiosyncrasies of that. Just deal with it, and if as long as your group is pretty laid back, I mean, you're going to be like, that's fine, you're close enough,
right, like you don't have to be precise, like right. Did you nudge it, who cares?
I do see Phil's point in the terrain, like if it's a slope, doesn't lend itself to the X-Wing models simply because of a complaint I had way back in the day of the size is getting a little crazy. So they're top heavy. Most of the stuff's top heavy. Jim's are not because he's got 8-pound washers underneath most of them. But
some of them. But I ended up moving away from the metal washers because I tend not to like them.
Right, but they a lot of the ones I fly, people call them lowriders because a lot of the ships in the Rebel side will actually fit on the base with no pegs, and those don't tip over quite as easily. So a lot of if it's got wings that stick down, it won't. But A wings and I'd have to think through Y wings and Z95s and all that stuff will sit on the base flat with no pegs underneath it. So it's how I store most of the stuff too. So
how low can you go?
Right, yeah, and it makes it easy to know which ones are yours if you're in a giant fight too. You're like, all the low riders are mine. They're either that or my Hawks are almost always on 3 or 4 high peg bases, just because I think it's hilarious to have them up real tall above everything. And the K-wings have to be 2 just because of the wingspan. So I either go really low or really high with mine to keep all the stuff from bumping into each other. But the real high ones won't work on slopes and things.
Well, one thing that I've always considered doing as a additional rules for X-Wings, if we need those, is using the different peg heights to denote like where you are in 3D space for actual like game purposes, like determining range and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it could be interesting to do that when, like, if you're flying through a forest. If you're on a short peg, then you're actually in the trees, and maybe you're harder to hit, but you might run into trees. And if you're on 2 or 3 pegs and you're above the trees, and you're not going to run into them, that could be cool.
See, I totally want to add in like turrets and tanks and things, but at this point is where J-Bus starting to laugh if I pull out
I was
the World War
laughing
II tanks.
you were like, dude, I've got all these, M41s I could throw out there and turn. I'm like, no, not in Star Wars. You get me some Star Wars tanks, I'm on board. But these World War I and II era tanks, rolling around on the ground,
too cool.
I'm not going to be able to buy into. I can't, suspend my disbelief that much.
All right.
That's good.
Too fun. All right.
Yeah,
so
I can believe that a stormtrooper can be killed by rocks and twigs and stuff, but I mean, come on. An anti-aircraft gun from World War II is not going to take down an X-wing. We all know this.
Well, hopefully, I've got my camera. I think I've got it figured out. I want to try to do a bunch of YouTube. So we've got the YouTube channel going on, and we've been uploading just the audio of old podcasts. But I want to be able to actually do battle reports and such too, and who knows, even at Gen Con, try to do some stuff. That would be really, really cool. I'm excited about that. So new toy to play with, and so I want to try a lot of these cool looking tables. I've got ideas. I don't know when we're going to actually try all these ideas because we got so much play testing and stuff to do and other stuff for the podcast. But
yeah.
All right. Should we go ahead and move on to our B teams?
Watch it, you've got one on your tail. Yes, I can hold it. Hold on! No.
All right. So for this particular B team, we've actually got two lists. One was submitted to us, and one I saw on the FFG forums I just really liked. It was actually in a thread started by Biophysical, who is of TIE Defender fame. He actually did really well at TIE Defenders before the fixes. But he had one talking about using Major Reimer, who is the TIE Bomber pilot that never gets used. I love TIE Bombers, and I never use this guy. He's way overpriced for his ability. His ability is, if you're using a secondary weapon, you can adjust the range that is limited by one. So if it's, say it's a proton torpedo that can normally only fire 2 to 3, it can fire range 1, 2, or 3. Or if it's a cluster missile, it can fire at normally 1 or 2, it can fire 1, 2, or 3. And it can't go beyond 3, but that's his. And it's trying to make Major Reimer work. And it's by Vinehart01 from the forum. So I've always chatted with him. He's a pretty nice guy. He's on the forums. And he came up with a particular list called Imperial Snappy Specialists. And Phil, you want to go ahead and read off what's in the list?
Sure. Okay, so the center of the list is Major Reimer. Reimer has got Snapshot, Hull Upgrade, the TIE Shuttle Title, Snapshot, and Operational Specialist, and Tactician. I might have said Snapshot twice.
You did.
Yeah. And then, so the thing is that he's, using this Major Reimer's ability to extend the range of Snapshot, which is technically a secondary weapon, even though it's an EPT. And Operational Specialist is a 3-point crew that lets you assign focus tokens after someone in your squad is missed. Let me pull up the actual text for that. It's a bit of a mouthful. So after a friendly ship at range 1 to 2 performs an attack that does not hit, and this could be a snapshot attack, you may assign a focus token to a friendly ship at range 1 to 3 of the attacker. So the idea here is that if you're messing with snapshot, you can give someone else in your list a focus token, and the kicker is that the other 4 ships in the list are 4 Black Squadron pilots with snapshot. So it's 5 ships, all with snapshot, and if any of them miss, then Operational Specialist lets them, give focus tokens to another ship in the list. So there's going to be a ton of focus going all around in this list.
Right, and so the whole list even was the thread was started by Biophysical saying that a lot of people tried Tactician, when Reimer first came out, and Snapshot when that first came out, but it didn't ever quite work. But he thinks the addition of Operations Specialist could really help make it work because, if he does the Snapshot and misses, which is most likely going to happen, boom, that's a focus token. But then this one from Vinehart with so many of these ships with Snapshot, snapping around, you just boom, 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 that you start getting a lot of focus tokens. And you do things like you can barrel roll to get into a better position, or you take a bunch of evade dice or evade tokens, and then you get a bunch of focus tokens as well. Or even if you have 2 focus tokens for your own shot and then for defense. I've really found that TIE fighters with their 3 dice, a focus, and an evade token are a lot more resilient than you'd think a TIE fighter is. I mean, it's not crazy. It's not, Palpatine and X7, but it's pretty resilient, to just getting shot at by a lot of things. And I've been pretty impressed with a focus evade TIE fighter.
This focus evade with 3 green dice, it's pretty solid.
And just he did have some write-up here. I was going to go ahead and read it off. It says, in 4 games, I faced Fen Rao twice and utterly shot the Fink down. He had absolutely no approach I couldn't prepare for with the anti-action stress, unless he boosted into range 2 from range 3, which is generally really dumb for Fen Rao, as he hates range 2. Because Fen Rao uses auto thrusters at range 3.
All this good stuff is happening at range 1 or partly at range 3.
Right. Shredded a UPS, I guess an Upsilon shuttle.
I think it's Upsilon shuttle, yeah.
A Batwing in another game and 2 rounds of firing. Granted, focus like a mofo, basically passing a focus token around between my ties as an attack missed was hilarious. He goes on and says, I like the use of Operation Specialist. It is a card that says any friendly card in range 1 to 2 that attacks means you get to give a free focus to a ship in range 1 to 3 of the attacker. So Snapshot is technically an attack. If you miss, you give focus tokens. It's hilarious. So, Biff and J-Bot,
go ahead.
What do you guys think?
Well, I really, really like the list, and I do like the mechanics that you just were mentioning. I just think that totally rocks. But what I was left kind of scratching my head about was, why Reimer? Why? Because you're not bringing secondary weapons because of the shuttle, right? You lose all your bombs, and
he's got Snapshot.
Okay, so given that, why don't we run with like Gamma Squadron Veteran? He can take an EPT.
Yeah, but Reimer makes Snapshot work at range 2. Normally, Snapshot only works at range 1.
Snapshot's the secondary weapon. Now,
Snapshot's right. Snapshot is a secondary weapon.
Yeah. I didn't know Snapshot counted as a secondary weapon. I always thought it was just counted as non, I guess.
Basically, it's got everything linked as a secondary weapon where it shows you the range and how many red dice are rolled, just like a secondary weapon. And it is a secondary weapon, but that's also an EPT. So that works as well. It boosts his range. If you get someone at range 2 with Snapshot, you get your free pew, 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 2 dice, probably going to miss. You stress them with Tactician, and then you get to give a free focus to somebody.
Yeah. That stress is like a really nice touch. Just kind of slip in there. Oh, by the way.
Yeah, and possibly you could then shoot, if you've already gone and they're there, you get to shoot them again during your turn and have that focus for yourself if you want, and fire again, giving him another stress. And if you miss, you give somebody else a focus nearby.
Yeah, that's the downfall of just looking at a paper list, is you don't have that visual connection that the upgrade card is what defines it as a secondary weapon.
Yeah. But J-Bot, what's your thoughts?
I mean, it certainly sounds interesting, but I hate TIE fighters in general just because you can get so many of them on the table. So anything that's done to make them better or more powerful always just annoys me. Is really all it is. But there's no dark curse out there, I don't believe. So that's at least one bonus to if Jim runs this list, he won't be using dark curse. But knowing him, he'll figure out a way. Like, I'll just take 2 TIE fighters away just so I can put dark curse in there to make it work.
I think I just remove 1 to put dark curse in, and it'd be the same points.
No,
or maybe
no Snapshot. Is that what it is?
He would have no snapshot because he's got no APT. But
yeah, never see a list with ties with Jim that doesn't have dark curse in it. So
it happens. It happens. I've been using Night Beast a bit lately, but this list just looks fun. It looks like just crazy with all the little pew 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 pew. Two dice going all the time.
Million snapshots.
Yeah. Focus around all over the place. Then you're firing on your main turn. Pew pew pew. If you miss that, still more focus around. It just there's no limit to the number of times that Operation Specials can work. So it's just absurd. I love it.
I would be afraid to almost fly this because I think I'd get totally wrapped around the axle about what token do I need to be reaching for now? Which shot do I need to take? Did he shoot already? Did he not shoot? I think I'd just be totally losing it.
I love a list like this. It's just totally nuts. It's just kind of
it's in a way you're almost doubling the number of shots that you get every turn if you get somebody that's silly enough to fly right in front of this bank of ships. That I mean that's a lot of firepower coming at one ship. You're almost bound to hit something. Usually you'd hope you would, but it's the old Civil War principle. Just line them up and get a whole bunch of shots, and maybe you'll outgun the other guy just by pure volley of fire.
Yeah, and if somebody misses, they're give another focus. Like sometimes, you've got your focus token or whatever, and someone shoots at you, and you've got to spend it on defense. But then, hey, somebody else shoots nearby and misses. Boom, you've got your focus token back. So it's kind of neat in that regard too. That it's defensive and offensive. I mean, sure, 2 dice offense, but yeah, I think it's a fun list. I think it's pretty cool. I'd like to try it sometime. I have no idea when, but it sounds hysterical. So that was Imperial Snappy Specialist.
So one of the things, one last comment on this list, one of the things that I did not appreciate when Snapshot came out was the fact that it was something that's executed in the phase, and that it's a snapshot. So most likely Snapshot is going to occur during the activation phase when the ship is moving. And there's the line in there about you cannot attack again this phase. I was initially interpreting as that for the turn, you can't attack again for the entire turn. But no, lo and behold, combat phase comes around, you still have your normal attack. So I was kind of like, oh, Snapshot, what's going to be the utility of this besides a quick shot, but really powerful.
And it's before because somebody moves, they haven't done their action yet.
Yeah.
So they don't have like their focus or evade tokens.
Yeah.
So you're firing at them before they have any tokens.
Yeah, the part I think I found the funniest about this is if I put this on a Hawk, it actually is a better attack than its primary, which never made sense to me.
No, well, it's the same as a primary.
Well, it would be at range 1, but
exactly.
it's still funny to me. It's like, wait a minute, this thing's better than its normal attack. So it's even if I'm firing at something, if I was a way to get it to fire at a longer range, it's still, wait a minute, that's not fair. Something's really messed up here.
Yeah, and Crass.
I mean, because for a lot of ships, it's weaker or at least equal to, but in a lot of ships, it's weaker than their primary attack, and this is basically stronger than their primary attack. So,
and Crassus Trellix, the fire spray pilot, really wishes he had an EPT slot because he would get that reroll with the secondary weapon. But,
right.
I mean, you can't even do none modifications on Snapshot, so he doesn't care. My apologies. All right. So then the next list was actually PM'd by Biophysical himself to me because he listens to the show. Hey, Biophysical, how you doing? He said he had an idea for a B team, and he sent it to me. It's a list he calls Death Throes of the Republic. So, Biff, do you want to go ahead and read that particular list? Or should I'll read off.
Yes.
Let me just say, I wanted to submit this list for the B team segment of the podcast. It's on the competitive side in that it can stand on its own against a lot of competitive lists if you know what you're doing, but it feels very much like classic dogfighting. I call it Death Throes of the Republic. So there you go.
So he's got 3 Royal Guard pilots, and they're each equipped with Predator and auto thrusters, and he makes the point to say that they're not, these TIE interceptors are not being equipped with Push the Limit. PTL, and then I suppose backing that all up is 1 Alpha Squadron pilot,
which is another TIE interceptor. 18 points still he's got.
Yep.
It puts you at 99 points.
Yeah, 99 points. So he's got a little bit of a, what would that be, the bid? He's got a little bit of a bid there. So
yeah. It says it's basically irresponsible levels of offense and speed. Its primary defense is killing things faster than it dies. There's no funny combos, just quality guns and 4 wide open interceptor dials. It's also got great blocking potential. It's one of the most fun. It's the most fun you can have in X-Wing with your clothes on. Is what he says.
Yeah, this is like a super aggressive list.
Yeah.
And it, in eschewing PTL, loses a lot of the repositioning that really defines modern interceptor use, I think. It's very, it's like a ballsy list. But if it's a lot of red dice.
Yeah, with the Predator thrown in, and maybe you're boosting or barrel rolling to get a positioning, or maybe you're focusing. But yeah, it's fast and it hits hard, and it's a bit of a glass cannon. But I actually
it's a really powerful glass cannon with pilot skill 6s on the table. I mean, it's
going
to be firing before a whole bunch of stuff, or at least 3 of them will be. So
yeah,
it's a. I like the fact that it sounds like an easy list to get out of my storage compartments. There's only a handful of cards.
Yeah.
Out.
It's easy to set
was
up.
it no shields, right? I don't have to worry about shields.
Shield.
That's
shield tokens.
That becomes an even easier thing. But it does sound like a type of list that I could dream up where it's like, I'm not interested in playing any crazy pilots or stuff tonight. I'm just going to throw something easy on the table that comes up to almost 100 points and have at it. And then, but at the same time, it's a list that if you practice with a lot, you could probably get really, really good with it.
Yeah, you've got a little bit of, I suppose, cannon fodder with that alpha. You can jam something up and
or have it block.
Maybe, yeah.
Imagine getting up somewhere and somebody bumps into it, so there they are at like range 1 or 2 of the rest of the interceptors with no actions.
Yep.
Getting lit up.
Make a little dog pile.
Yeah.
Get them and hit them hard. Yeah, it's nice.
I only really play interceptors in like big games, epic games, or this TIE Punisher, which I guess is like 300 points on one side at least. And I don't always give them push the limit, and I don't even always give them auto thrusters. And I fly them like a little group of 3, and like they'll move up there fast. They got good dial, and they can just pour the fire on, and it's a different way to fly interceptors. When you're doing like the 106 death match, you're always like, I'm getting out of your arc, getting out of your arc, getting your arc. But if you're flying like a bigger game, they're still like really good ships, but they just are completely different, flown differently.
It's hard to dodge everybody's arc.
Yeah.
A huge game. Yeah.
300 points, you can't dodge every arc.
So yeah, but they become like a spear tip in at least whenever we used them. And not to get into a lot of detail, but when we did the Punisher mission, it was our plan, because I was running the Gazanti and the Interceptors, was to essentially jam the Gazanti into it and then rush the Interceptors out of the front of it, so they get this kind of double boost. And they become that kind of spear tip. You thrust the Gazanti in and then you run the sharp end of the stick into the base. And 4 of these things coming out, over the course of 2 turns is ruthless, because they do a ton of damage. And if you're not prepared for it as an opponent in an epic game, then they can rip through a force. With if you get them all in range 1, even at range 2, that's 12 dice, that you're rolling against stuff. So they can obliterate 1/2 of an epic ship in a turn if you really get them ranged right and lay into it. So they're weak ships when it comes to hull and no shields, but they're still very dangerous. So I could see 4 of them played correctly as this kind of roving, I'm picking that ship and that thing is not going to survive this round. I'm just putting everything into it. If I lose 1 or 2 of these, I know I've taken out like a massive threat from your list, sort of thing.
And a lot of people play with their tournament list is like 2 or 3 ships. So, you were able to get someone where you want them, and then you lay into them, boom, that ship's blown. That's a lot of dice to kind of, you can only Palpatine once, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, you can only palp once. And did they all have Predator, or was it just the Royal Guards, right?
Just the Royal Guards. The Alpha is
so that's quite a bit of help. If you get in and focus, and with Predator, it can really really do a lot of damage pretty successfully every turn.
Yeah, you can mess someone up. And like you were saying on the Gazanti, one of the tricks about that is the Gazanti moves at the end because it's PS2 epic. So all the other epics have gone, and then it goes, and then it deploys the interceptors. So the interceptors are moving after everybody. They don't even really need to arc dodge because they can just kind of pick.
Even low pilot skill interceptors get this almost last of the turn, almost like their high pilot skill move. So
they don't even pick their dial until they're deploying. Like, okay, where is everything? Where do I want to be? Yeah, so they're really nasty. The pirates can tell you.
Yeah, and I didn't even know they didn't pick their dial, so I picked their dial with the plan. So, and one of the scenes, he's like, "Oh, you ran 2 of these into." Yeah, because I picked the dial before the Gazanti even moved. I didn't realize I could do that at deployment. So knowing that, it would have been an even more kind of ridiculous sort of spear thrust because they wouldn't have bumped. Like basically 3 ships bumped when they first started coming out because I didn't know I could do that. So it's still. They're very dangerous, and I do like this list for its simplicity, and yet it still requires you to be a good pilot, and that's what I love the game originally for, was making you be a good pilot and planning ahead, not just relying on cards and pilot abilities to get you out of bad situations.
And that's where I think it's kind of the title plays in. Death Throws the Republic. It's like the last bit of the old X-wing.
The old school
style,
X-wing
jousting and just flying and shooting. So I like the title. I think it's pretty cool. I like the list. I think it's pretty cool. Thank you, Biophysical. Yeah.
Cool.
Overall, a little bit more to say on the TIE Punisher mission. I'm really excited about it. It all started because Jason loves TIE Punishers, and I was just thinking, like, maybe they're not good for 106 deathmatch because they're not really designed for it, and really designed for like an assault, a heavy assault on somewhere. It's like, man, would it be cool to come up with a mission to use like a whole bunch of these things? And so I did this mission, and he had a TIE Punisher, I had a TIE Punisher, and he ended up buying a second to do this. We would always borrow another one. And then this time I was like, you know what, I'm buying my second TIE Punisher so we can have the 4 TIE Punishers for this particular mission. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny, like we just did this, and the Imperials did really well this past game. And it wasn't so much it was unbalanced, it's just they outflew us pirates. And
I always tell people that I don't play Imperial, I play Rebel, but it's basically like me sword fighting with my left hand. Whenever I play Imperials, I'm pretty dangerous. And I was telling I think it was Blake or somebody at the shop that I used to play a Sunterfell list before auto thrusters, before this other stuff, and was really good with it. But then suddenly everybody was playing the Sunterfell when they made all these changes, and I said, all right, I don't want to be considered that guy who's just running a meta list, so I ditched it. But I only had 4 ships, and I had so much fun with the crazy interceptor dodgy list. I think I had a Phantom in the list too, so it was a very, because I only have like 5 Imperial ships, 4 or 5 Imperial ships. So I was just playing with what I had, and I had a ton of fun with it. But I don't play Imperial anymore because I only have a handful of ships, and they're all really bad now unless it's a meta list. And I don't have the shuttle, I don't have the Palpatine or anything, so I can't make a super meta list to play with, and so it just would get run off the
I have Palpatine, but I've never used him. Just like I've never used C-3PO, and I've never used.
So I like the joke. I like the joke that I'm actually just an Imperial operative working undercover on the Rebel side to sabotage their fight in the galaxy. Because every time I play Rebels, they die horrendously. But when I play Imperials, I do pretty good.
Well, what was neat was I posted a whole bunch of these pictures, in the thread, because there's been a thread we've been kind of talking about how to tweak it, make it balanced, and all that. And then I posted like a whole bunch of these pictures. People will just keep going, liking it and making comments like, "Wow, I wish I lived near you. This looks amazing." And it was funny because then it was like on Friday, Quiet Friday at work, and I was looking at other threads. There was in some other thread right about the same time, and it was, which ships suck? And everyone's like, the TIE Punisher's horrible. Oh, I hate the TIE Punisher. And it's going on at the same time my thread's going on about the TIE Punishers with pictures of them absolutely blowing the crap out of everything. It was so funny. I even went into the thread and posted a couple pictures. I was like, hey, I just did this mission, and maybe it's just because they're not good in 106, but Man, they were really good in this one.
No, it's okay. Just keep complaining about the Punisher, and then it'll get a fix that just like the Defenders did, and Jason will be even more happy with the Punishers. And this time next year, there will be a 2 Punisher list with some random other little ship thrown in for a good measure that's doing really good on the big tables, and we'll all look back on this and say, man, he was right. All it does is a little bit of belly aching on the forums, and suddenly they fix the ship, quote unquote.
And someone was saying that for Mario Kart that they had a TIE Punisher. It's got boost, and it's hard to kill one of those things. Like, it's got a lot of hull and shield and stuff for not that many points, and you can load it up with a whole bunch of bombs and crazy stuff. That for Mario Kart, it's actually, they really thought it was a great ship. So
yeah, if they give you the points to do it, but I don't know. It might fit into the open class. Yeah. And I could see it being very nasty in the open class. So I know we haven't talked a ton about it, but that one's going to allow large base ships, but doesn't mean you have to fly a large base ship to be, powerful. Like a K-wing, for example, in the open class could be just disgusting. But hey, I'm going to put advanced slam on it and bombs and just drop Connor nets behind me as I move through. Just jump out in front, drop Connor nets, and leave everybody behind. There's all sorts of crazy things that can happen in that. And when you get to that open class, because the Punisher has a ton of hull, can drop bombs as well. So there's
and missiles.
Yeah, and missiles if you can afford it. So it's that open class is the one we're going to have to test the most. But I think it'll be the most fun to watch, just because you're going to get such a huge variance in the types of ships that people bring, and they can be effective. Like almost anything can be effective at that level, because large base ships move faster. Just in general, they move faster. So it'll be interesting to see. And I hadn't thought about the Punisher, but yeah, Punisher could be very dangerous as well.
It's got bombs. It's got mines. They can do like ion missiles. Like, you're going nowhere. Fly past you. Like, don't kill them. Don't blow them up. Just ionize them at the wrong moment around the corner. Oh crap!
Well, I mean, the bigger ships, the large base ships, you can put cannons on a lot of them. So that means you can put tractor cannons and things on.
Oh, so, tractor beams. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of options out there. Yeah, there's a lot of options out there that you can do. And it's I'm actually anxious to test it. That's one of the ones I want to test this week when we go back to the store, is the large base ships, because we're getting the points right on that is going to be the difficult part, because you don't want somebody to really be able to load a slave one up, or not a slave one, but load is the Andraste the one that is the bomb dropper?
Yeah.
From the fire spray. You got to be careful, because if you give people too many points, they can load one of those things up with almost too much to be able to handle. And when you combine its rear-facing arc with the front-facing arc, and the ability to drop bombs and everything else, you got to be really careful with some of those ships. So I'm anxious to test it, because I think it'll be so much fun.
Yeah, I want to do the TIE Punisher that can do a barrel roll after he drops.
Ooh, yeah.
The death rain. So when dropping a bomb, you may use the front, and after dropping a bomb, you may perform a free barrel roll. So I want to get to a spot where, heck, I may not even really do much with the bomb, but I just want that barrel roll before I move. It's like barrel roll around the corner, zip, boom, I'm ahead of you.
Yep, and any type of proximities and that sort of stuff becomes very interesting on those maps.
Yeah.
What Jonathan, J-Bot, one of the things that I really, really want to do on the diamond map that you have is take some bomber or Punisher or whatnot, and just as you're going into one of the short shoots, the shortcut, then drop a Connor net behind you, because it'll be almost running straight across the main pathway. So if you're out in front, drop one. And
oh yeah, you can. There's
hard pressed to get around it.
It's the thing about Mario Kart that I know we've been testing the stock class a lot, but the modified class with the smaller base ships, there is enough points there to do some crazy shenanigans when you get with the Y-wings and such. So it would be interesting to see what people come up with. So many people think speed. I have to have speed to run it out. And what I'm actually doing is cutting out engine upgrades and stuff. So if your dial's fast, that's great. But somebody out there might come up with this combination of, it's a slower ship, but once it gets in front or on your second lap, you're never going to catch back up, because it's done so much to the track that you're going to end up running into bombs or having to juke all over the place while it kind of catches itself back up. So, yeah, I'm really interested in it, and it's such a fun game. To me, it's such a fun game because it's not, 106. There is no like lengthy scenario to kind of play out. It's just here are your 4 ships on the table. Each person has one, and go for it. There's a very simple goal in mind that doesn't necessarily mean shooting everybody. Sometimes you have to work together to get rid of the first place guy. So it's a very open game.
I think this episode, we've had a few main topics to go over, but half of it, at least, has been rambling about various ideas.
Something wrong with that?
No,
Yeah.
it's just funny that I'm trying to think of, like, what do we even title this one? Because I know that's Phil's job to title it, but I think it's been funny. There's so many cool ideas bouncing around my head and so many cool things to talk about. I feel like we've been all over the place, but I think it's been a good podcast. So good episode.
Yeah, good episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one thing to add on to it. Jim talked about doing some YouTube videos. If anybody has any suggestions for things they'd like to see us do, I don't know that I'm ready for prime time. I always say that I've got a face made for radio, but we'll see how it ends up going if we have to stick a camera in my face, or I get like a mob granulized thing over, which would be funny. But I'm just starting to load up the second bit of the Underground Railroad campaign. We'll start seeing that, I think, today. This is Sunday, so I think I'll probably get the first piece of that put up there. I know I've had a few people asking me about it, so hopefully people are enjoying it, and there's some interesting, funny things that are going to happen in the next session that we giggle about amongst ourselves, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a fun session.
Yeah, so look for that coming up too.
Actually, I know I'm looking forward to it because I started listening to it since I'm not playing in it, and I finished them all. I'm like, I know you guys finished. You did the second episode. When's it coming out? So
yeah, I think Jake is the most like addicted right now because he's like, we're going to play on Saturday, right? We're going to play next week. He was originally planned to be once a month, and then it changed to once every 2 weeks. And I'm afraid it's going to end up like the podcast, where instead of once every 2 or 3 weeks, we'll do a quick hour. It's going to become a weekly, like 3 hour
4 hour session. Yeah.
4 hours. Supposed to be 3 hours. Now it's like 4.5 hours. So, but unlike, I know people out there probably are tired of this, but if you play like a regular role playing game, right, D&D, tend to have a lot of, ancillary conversations. You get into the topics of the day. We actually do a pretty good job, relatively speaking, of sticking to the story or sticking to the game itself. So. I think I actually enjoy listening to our campaign probably as much as some of the other people I've talked to. So if you haven't given a shot, I say please at least give the first episode a shot to hear our screw up of the rules and everything else.
Sure. Yeah.
Like anything, we screw it up so you don't have to, or you can at least you can point to us and laugh and tell us all the things we did wrong, which is equally fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah. So also, if you have a game store or your own personal stash of 40K terrain that's collecting dust, taking up room, break it out, play a game on it, take pictures of it, and send it to us or post it on the Facebook page or the FFG forums. We'd love to see it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So please send more stuff in.
Yeah, it's all Bowser's Castle's fault, really. After seeing that, I think we felt like we had to up the ante on our games and add more terrain and things to them.
Yeah. Yeah. So the idea of doing the video made me think visually, like, what could we do to make it look awesome? But yeah, so I think that's about it. Any parting messages?
No, good here.
Excellent. All right. So also, I think this coming Saturday, what's
Crate
the name
Cup,
of the cup?
like the Crate Dragon. It's a Crate Cup, like KRAYT.
They started the podcast. They do a championship in North Carolina, and we're going to be doing some Mario Kart stuff for them this Saturday. And I'll see maybe if my YouTube camera is working. But of course, that'll all happen probably before you even listen to this. But they asked us to do something, and we decided to try out Mario Kart. So hopefully we'll have some more things to bring out. Maybe we'll see some more of the YouTube. And if you listen to those guys, I have not yet. I keep meaning to, but you might hear about things from us. But all right, everybody, that should do it, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Wow.